Letitia James was indicted in a left-leaning part of our country, a part that voted very heavily against Donald J. Trump for the crime of mortgage fraud. When I read the indictment, when I read the facts in the case, I see a person who committed mortgage fraud. Now, of course, the jury is going to decide whether she ultimately committed a crime. We don't try her. The administration doesn't try her. A judge tries the case, and a jury decides whether she's ultimately guilty. That is what is going to determine whether she goes to prison. I think we let the facts drive this. And George, that's what we've tried to do in the administration's Department of Justice. We've asked ourselves, has a person violated the law? And if that person has violated the law, then we decide to prosecute him. That's what the Department of Justice should do. It didn't do that under Joe Biden's administration. It does under Donald Trump's.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Put that big heifer in jail, prison, slam a yard, slam the door, turn the lights off. You got to put your hands behind your back.
This is not simply an attack on Attorney General Tish James. This is an attack on our city.
Socialist communist scum
is a blatant miscarriage of justice.
Look at this scum.
Breaking today, New York City's Democrat Socialist mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani backing New York Attorney General Letitia James after a federal grand jury indicted her on charges of bank fraud.
Accountability. Oh, yeah.
Prosecutors say she falsely claimed a Virginia rental property as a second home to secure better loan terms. James denies any wrongdoing. Fox News contributor and constitutional law attorney Jonathan Turley joins us now. Do you see anything wrong with what she did, Jonathan? Welcome.
Well, I don't remember Mamdani coming out and denouncing James when she ran for office on the pledge to nail Donald Trump for something, not even specifying what it might be, or when she charged him in a fraud case where no one lost money. And in fact, the banks wanted additional loans from Trump and his organization. None of these people were objecting to any of that lawfare. Now, does that mean that this is a lead pipe cinch of a case or that there's not problems? Of course not. This is going to be a tough case for the Department of Justice to be able to land. While they got this case out of New York, it's in a very blue district in Virginia. And also, there's going to be some threshold challenges here, and one of them has some merit. It doesn't mean it's going to prevail. James is likely to say that the acting U.S. attorney who signed off on these charges was not appropriately appointed and therefore should not have held that office. And if that is the case, then the indictment would go down.
Well, to the overall case itself, though, I want to rewind the clock back to February 16th of last year, when Letitia James really was, I guess, for lack of a better word, bragging about the fact that she was trying to hold Donald Trump to account, saying, quote, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. It's a little ironic, I think, in hindsight.
Well, John, what's really ironic is she just asked for $500 million of damages against Trump in a case where no one lost any money. In fact, the bank made money. In this case, the government's alleging that she made serious money, that by misrepresenting the status of this property, she made thousands of dollars. And so, unlike her case, they can actually cite to money that ended up benefiting her. Now, does that mean that they can make this case with an entire jury in Northern Virginia? I think the odds still favor James. There's also a good chance that this technicality that she's likely to raise could delay the case. The argument is that the president has 120 days to assign acting U.S. attorney, but he had already used that period with her predecessor. And there's also a suggestion that the reason that predecessor was let go or forced out is that he was not going to sign off on this prosecution. So it's going to get very messy very fast in this case.
Jonathan, we'll finish off with on whether this is political retribution on the part of President Trump. This is AG Bondi taking a question on that, on whether Trump was pressuring the DOJ to go after his enemies, including James Comey. Listen.
President Trump is the most transparent president in American history. And I don't think he said anything that he hasn't said for years. Comey was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia by, I may point out, one of the most liberal grand juries in the country.
I'm going to get a last thought from you on that, Jonathan.
Well, both Comey and James are likely to make two claims, vindictive prosecution, selective prosecution. Those are very difficult claims to make in court. They will be citing President Trump in that posting of his, complaining that why haven't you indicted these people? And that is going to be the central piece of evidence they use to try to make out those claims.
But how different is that, Professor, than Tish James campaigning on, I'm going to get Trump?
It's not different, but the question is whether they will be able to prevail now in federal court. James went to New York court and got a very favorable judge. We'll see how this plays out. But those types of cases, and I've made those types of arguments in court as criminal defense attorney, they are very hard to make. Judges do not like to look at motivations if there is an otherwise valid crime in the indictment.
Jonathan Turley on all of that for us.
Good surprise us that she would come out and say this, obviously, and that Democrats are going to use this as a political, talking point. But doesn't this case have teeth?
It does, and I have to tell you that all you need to do is read the indictment to see that it does, because it's a very simple, plain-spoken indictment, which is crucial in a financial case, because in financial cases they can get very complicated. You could potentially lose the jury. This one doesn't have that. Now, to clear something up, the primary residence issue is not here. That was the initial allegation we all heard about from the power of attorney form. What it comes down to is the following. She signed the operative paperwork to get the loan, saying that the house in Virginia is going to be a second house, not an investment property, a second house for her to go to herself. She's not allowed to have somebody there renting it. Okay, that's how she gets the loan. She then takes her paperwork for her taxes and puts on her tax forms that it is an investment property and in fact has write-offs relative to the investment property. So internally it's inconsistent by her own paperwork. By getting the lower rate for a non-investment property, she saved about $19,000 to this point. That is the crux of the allegation.
Okay, and so here's a senator from Michigan, Alyssa Slotkin. This is what she told CNN on Thursday.
Just as part of a bigger trend of the President of the United States using the Department of Justice, using the legal system to go after political adversaries, using the arms of our democracy to
Our democracy. Trump just wants to get his revenge. Revenge for President Trump. Oh. The hell up. The hell with CNN.
go after political adversaries. It's just a broken way to do politics.
Oh, Alyssa.
I wonder what you think about that, because nobody said that at the beginning when Letitia James went after Trump for the same thing.
Yeah, pretty rich when you consider the fact that that was her promise in coming into office as the Attorney General, that she was going to be using her office to go after Donald Trump, which is really not...
The hell with these Democrats, man. And the hell with CNN. Y'all come on CNN and say the same thing. Trump's just trying to get revenge. Our democracy's under attack. When this big heifer came out there screaming to the top of her lungs, running a whole campaign on it, nobody want to hear that, man.
Her remit as supposedly the top law enforcement officer in New York. And let's recognize something else. She also got through, it had to be for her sake, through Albany, a $10 million fund for anybody who has federal government coming after them for what they've done on the job and off the job, anybody that's been targeted. So she's saying she hasn't accessed that fund yet. $10 million. She's got a high-priced lawyer, Abby Lowell's. I have a feeling the citizens of New York are going to be paying for Abby Lowell's swimming pool. So that $10 million is sitting there waiting for her to access it. The legislature put it through. The governor, Kathy Hochul, signed off on it. But here's the thing. The stakes for her are very high here because they're not going to plead this out. And if she gets convicted on a felony, which this is, she loses her law license and she has to step down. Essentially, she's going to be unemployable in public life in New York.
I want to go down to Jersey really quickly.
Charges after an investigation by the Department of Justice.
Chandler Painter has the details. Good morning, Chandler.
Hey, good morning. So New York Attorney General Letitia James facing federal mortgage fraud charges after prosecutors say she falsely claimed a home in Virginia as her second residence while using it as a rental property. A federal grand jury finding that she was then able to obtain more optimal loan terms. Well, James now faces a 2-count indictment, including 1 count of bank fraud and 1 count of making false statements to a financial institution. Each count carries a potential sentence of up to 30 years in prison and up to $1 million in fine and forfeiture.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump organization.
I don't want to hear no more of it.
James as retribution for previous lawsuits she brought against the commander-in-chief during his first term, something that those in the administration and federal prosecutors, of course, deny. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia say this, quote, no one is above the law. The charges as alleged in this case represent intentional criminal acts and tremendous breaches of the public's trust. The facts and the law in this case are clear, and we will continue following them to ensure that justice is served. James is set to be arraigned on October 24th, guys.
Put that big
you're not supposed to say untruths to banks.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
And you really can't talk about weaponization when you have a person that campaigned on Donald Trump.
Put that big heifer in jail.
Did it once they
Put that big heifer in jail, prison, slammer yard, turn the lights off. Yeah, walk that big heifer out live on air. We want to see it. Them patriots can celebrate. We can jump up and down, clap our hands, and rejoice. Watching that big heifer being put in the back of the car. Put it in handcuffs.
And the attorney general. I just don't have the appetite to hear about.
She would sit in the court, kick off her shoes, and just watch the whole trial every single day.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
We're going to definitely assume we're going to be
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
He's going to know my name personally.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day.
Put that big heifer in jail.
Tish getting what she dished. New York AG Letitia James indicted on mortgage fraud. After spending years weaponizing the courts against Trump and his businesses, she's suddenly crying foul about weaponization.
This is nothing just
this mortgage issue. How all of these.
Emily, it looks like they have her dead to rights. She filled out the form, she lied, she even reported the rental income on her taxes.
Look, I can't speak to what will happen actually in court and to the evidence. However, yes, it seems obvious. And here's what I hate the most about the commentary. The concept that either everyone does it or that it's no big deal is such an affront to the millions of Americans that get that pit in our stomach every year when we see the audit or the IRS and have to do our taxes and actually go overboard to make sure that every penny lines up. I have had friends audited for less than a few $1,000s. I've had clients that have been audited in the $30,000 range or less. And I did a snapshot of what happens in just 1 year. And in 1 year alone, for example, the U.S. Sentencing Commission has over 57,000 mortgage fraud offenses referred to them. That is that specific charge referred to them. The FBI investigating almost 4,000 in 1 year, 30% of which are under $1 million. So the concept that somehow it has to be a big deal or it has to be in the millions to have some impact doesn't hold water, because good, hardworking Americans follow the law all day, every day. And when you don't, then I guess you become a con man or a carnival barker, which is what the language that this AG used about someone else that was actually totally innocent.
Paul, whose post-indictment video was better, Comey's or Tish James's?
Yeah, they're both atrocious. And you know what? The sanctimony embedded in both of them is just so insufferable. And as Emily says, the idea that somehow or other everybody does is just not true. I've brought...
Once told me
I got to go with Greg. We have to end this thing off with Greg, y'all.
All the punishment will fit the crime. Sorry, Greg, go on.
All right, Greg, you know more about fraud than anybody because you are one.
That's right. This is Brett Hume. So, my good friend Molly Hemingway once told me, no, I love this because the Dems thought they had a solid, like 95% gamble. You could hunt Trump down and hunt other Republicans down under the assumption that they're finished, they're done. But as they say, if you go for the king, you better make sure the job is done. Trump is now the man with no name in High Plains Drifter. They thought they had him, but now he's painting the town red. You can call it revenge, but I'll get to that. Turnabout is fair play. Remember, nothing that Trump does, whether he doesn't do this or not, is going to affect the Democrats' behavior after this. Like, you'll hear people say, like, well, if he does this, then they're going to do that. It's like, no, you're going to do that anyway, because you started this mess. This lady's career was predicated on a vow that she was going to take Trump down. Remember, she did that in a video. And the hilarity of the media and the Democrats doing this two wrongs don't make a right stuff. I'm sorry. If Jesse punches me in the face, I should be able to punch him back, even if I can't reach his face. But the thing is, it's like, you don't have that argument. You know, it's like they came after us. That was lawfare. They thought they had it. It was going to be great, but it's wrong. It didn't, and now you got to pay the price. Don't get mad at us. Don't get mad at us. This is justice. So the only solution is mutually assured destruction. If you know that I will fight back if you attack, then you won't initiate the attack. Jesse won't hit me because he knows I'll hit him back. That's why people have NRA stickers on their front porch.
That's why people have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, so right, Jillian, so right. It's why I wear tight shirts. So people see the muscles in my body. It's a non-violent signal to warn off aggressors who think they might be, you know, able to handle it, but it says, you know, you're biting off more than you can chew.
Again, People Magazine, World's Sexiest Man, right here.
Yeah.
Next year's your year.
I'm wearing a half shirt tonight.
Peace through strength.
Peace, yes.
Up next.